Okay, so here we are. I have flip-flopped it around in the pan, and this is where we are with the next layer. So this is where we're gonna add some additional color. Now, I didn't completely flip this over 180 degrees, because if I had, I would have all of that beautiful golden color and no additional ribbons of undyed space to work with. And I don't wanna touch that gold color yet, because inevitably, as the yarn is dyed, that under portion of the yarn is going to receive color. I don't want to flip it over and just start adding color to it right now. Plus, it is a nice solid gold color on the other side, and that would kind of warm up anything that I add to it. And I really want to use some of this undyed space that we're seeing here. Plus, the next step that I want to take in this photo, the next direction I want to go, is in the direction of this green, beautiful kind of green leaf that's kind of going over the base of the rose here. So it's got this beautiful, beautiful, you know, emerald green color, this really pretty blue that's running through here. So that's where I want to go next. And I think that this is a really great place to do that, because if you look at what we have here and you look at what we have here, this portion of the rose, everything, if you subtract out the green leafy part, this portion is essentially what we have in the pot. So right now I just want to incorporate this color going through. So that's going to be where we go next. And I don't want to use a straight up green dye to achieve that. I think I'm going to start with something in the blue family, and then I'm going to layer maybe some yellow or some gold on top of that to create this really beautiful green. So let's do that now and see how it comes out.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a little bit of anxiety about this. I think this is amazing, and the blue is spot on to what we're looking for in the photograph. I haven't really flipped anything over yet. I kind of peeked over here, and this, you know, calms me a little bit because it's just so freaking gorgeous. But the water is exhausted, or the water has exhausted all the dye, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip this and see what we are left with after we did this blue-green layer. Now, it looks like an awful lot of blue-green, but remember, there's more than one skein of yarn in there, and so that's going to disperse across several different skeins of yarn, so that'll break up a little bit. So here is, again, the photograph. So we worked on this area earlier, and now we are focusing our attention on this green-blue situation going on up here, which is kind of what we're doing with this. So I want to flip this over, and I want to see what we have on the other side, and I think at that point what I want to do is start moving in towards this beautiful kind of plum color that we have here, maybe even draw in some of the browns that we're seeing, maybe a little more intensity with this gold color down here. We'll see after we flip it and kind of know what direction to go next. So let's flip it. Okay, here we are all flipped, and I can see that I still have plenty of that beautiful gold space left over. I have some really pretty green and blue running through, and then of course the purple that we added for the tips of the petals on the previous layer. Now I think what I want to do here, because I already know what's on the other side. We have a lot of that blue, that green, that purple in there on the other side, and I want to bring out some more of that deep purple on this side where we have more gold, because I want to have some clean purple that hasn't been touched by the green at all. So I kind of want to add a little bit more of that purple in here in various different places and give it a little bit of a low light of maybe like a plum color. And then at that point, I may want to tone that whole thing down with just a little bit more of this gold color right over the top, because I'm at the point now where I've added color to achieve kind of the overall look here. So we have the purple, we have the gold, obviously, we have that peachy color here, we've got the green, we've got the blue, we've got the color. I think now I want to start kind of working on aging that color a little bit with using kind of layers of other colors to either warm it up, tone it down, what have you. So I think that's where I want to go now. So I want to add a little bit more of that purple in here that we are pulling in from this right here. And then I want to tone the whole thing, or warm the whole thing up with maybe a little bit of an additional layer of this gold color right over the top of that. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to see how that works out. So I definitely am going to want to add another layer of that gold over the top of this to kind of warm it up. I see lots of really bright colors, and that's beautiful, but again, we're working with something that's experienced decay, and there's age to the colors. They're not 100% bright, and so we want to kind of mute everything, maybe give it a little bit of a warm tone to, you know, emphasize that. All right, so here we are. You can see lots of vibrancy to the color here, and though that's beautiful, I do want to add a layer of warmth to that. So I think I'm going to do what I did on the other side and just add a little layer of that gold, warm it up, and then we're going to flip it again, and I think that's when we're going to start being able to see how we can incorporate those blacks and grays and whatever else that's going to give us that moody, shadowy dimension that we see in the photograph. Okay, so I've done a few things. I'm taking a little bit of a break because I'm kind of at this standstill of what I want to do next. So I warmed up the colors, and then I decided after I flipped them back over is I added a couple layers of speckles to add a little bit more of that shadow and that dimension that we see in the color. And I'm happy with the way that it's turning out. I'm just stuck on what I want to do next. So typically when this happens, and also too, like, I don't have the greatest lighting in here other than the natural light coming in from the outside of the garage. I only have the one fluorescent light above me, and so the lighting gets pretty horrible. And so I have to kind of play around with the yarn, look at it, lift it up, squeeze it out of the, you know, squeeze water out of it to see what's happening with the yarn so I know what to do next. Because again, like, I'm trying to achieve a look, and of course I could just leave it and say, hey, it's beautiful, I want to just leave it, no big deal. But I really want to achieve a particular look, so I'm kind of at a standstill, not exactly sure what I want to do next. Well, what I've done, and this is something that I do whenever I really need to get a better idea of the yarn, to see all the individual little strands of yarn, is I'll take a skein out of the pan and I'll put it in some water. That way I can really see the strands move in the water. I can see what's going on a little better. I can move it out into better light. So I've done that with one skein of the yarn, and I have my photo over there. So I want to show you kind of where we are in the process and what it looks like right now. Okay, so here is a skein of the yarn that we have dyed so far, and it's a little bit tricky to see. I mean, even here, let me, you know, maybe I can pull it out just a little bit more. Get it in some better light. There we are. Okay, now we're kind of able to see a little bit better. Okay, so that's what we've gotten so far with the work that we've done. We can see that beautiful gold color happening. We can see those rosy portions. The purple obviously is right here, a really beautiful purple. There's that green and blue. And actually, if I pull away without there being too much of a glare, kind of hard to see it, but you can see the photo here. You can see me and my camera, hi. But you can see the photo here, and you can see the yarn down here in the bucket. I really love doing it this way, where I pull it out and put a skein in the water so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. I just love to see the strands of yarn separate. It gives me an idea of what colors I actually have going on in the yarn. It's really beautiful. So here's where what I'm thinking right now. let's go back over to the table to talk about this. Okay, so here's the photo. I really think that what we have over there is capturing kind of the essence of the colors in this photo, and what I want to focus on now is kind of grunging it out a little bit, giving it that look of decay, giving it the shadow, giving it the contrast of like the dark areas of this particular color. Essentially what I want to do is provide the oxidation to the color. I want to give it that this sounds really awful, but that look of that dying look, like it's a rose that has died. You know, it's gonna have the pock marks all over it of the various different, you know, phases of decay. I want to add that to our yarn. It drives me crazy because there's always that momentary pause where you think, okay, but if I do this, is it gonna completely tone down everything? There's no coming back from adding something like black or like gray. But I kind of think I just want to take a risk, add some deep gray or black speckles to what we have to kind of create, to kind of get that, you know, freckly look that's happening in here, that shadow that's going on here. Now, in the beginning, I was like, we'll just, you know, put a bunch of black on it to give it this whole silhouetted look. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I think that's a little extreme. I'm loving the colors that we have on the yarn. I don't want to degrade that. So I just want to add that element of moodiness at this point by using either speckles, maybe a little bit of shading, but that's kind of where I want to go at this point. So I think black speckles it is, you guys. Yeah, I'm actually feeling really good about it. So let's go ahead and head back over there and add some black speckles, and that actually might be it for this colorway. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I think it's gonna look great up against this photo when it's all finished.